is there. You're all welcome to the much awaited debate. The debate we've been all hearing about between Barrister Emekesiri of Moving and Simon Ekpa. So I don't even need to, I've already introduced the topic, what the topic is, the roadmap to actualization of Biafra. Both of these gentlemen believe that they have a better pathway to actualization of Biafra. So I don't know from them. So before I don't know from them, we have to do a little bit of housekeeping. This is an intellectual exercise, even though, I mean, it could lead to practical, right? We don't want anybody being belligerent. There's no cause for being rude or anything. And if you want to ask a question, you only have 2 minutes to ask a question. If you're asking a question, ask a question. If you're making a comment, make a comment. You cannot do both. So it's either you're asking a question or you're making a comment. So I believe everybody not here, we are all mature adults and we are gentlemen and we are ladies. So conduct yourself in a way that if this is zoomed outside, if this is beamed outside, you won't be embarrassed. So having said that, we're going to give the two, I don't want to say gladiators, but that's what they are today. The two gladiators, we're going to give them opportunity to be heard. So, who want to go first? I think I need to mute. You guys got to mute yourself. The two people, the two stars I want today need to mute themselves. Okay, so you're muted. So first of all, we're gonna let Barrister Emekesiri go first to introduce himself and introduce Mobin, and then we'll let Simon introduce himself. Go ahead.
Thank you, moderator. As she has said, I am called Emekesiri. Emekesiri.
Oh.
I am from Amucha. In fact, precisely from Okwaru Nebu village, Amucha, which is 9 in Jaba local government. I am a lawyer. I am a pastor. I am an estate surveyor and valuer. And our Biafran movement is, we have political movement we call Movement of Biafrans in Nigeria, which runs our customary government we call Customary Government of Indigenous People of Biafra. And I am in charge of the movement. If there's any other thing you want me to explain about myself, I will explain. But I think that's okay for now.
I muted myself. That's okay for now. Let's hear from Simon. Just introduce yourself briefly, gentlemen. We are not hearing you. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Is everybody else hearing Simon except me?
No.
We can't hear you, Simon. Okay. So while he's fixing his listen, do you guys want me to play some music? Is it working now? Okay, somebody's suggesting. Lord Adaejiagamba, greeting. Everybody.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
So,
we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Adaejiagamba, my sister, for putting this, I wouldn't say debate, but rather I would say this talk show together today between me and my brother Emekesiri. My name remains Simon Ekpa. I'm a legal expert as well, and I am also from Biafra land, Bonny State to be precise. And today, this debate or this talk show should focus on enlightening our people on why we believe the approach we are taking to get Biafra is the most appropriate approach. And on doing that, I wouldn't, this whole talk show wouldn't be issue of attack or personal attack on or attacking a group or something like that. So let it be an issue-based debate, so that at the end of the day, everybody that is watching and that will watch later will have something to learn, to know exactly who to follow and what to do when the issue of Biafra is in question. I can't hear you.
I'm going to get a timer so that nobody just spend too much time on the other thing.
Thank you.
Because that's what I'm seeing now. You have to introduce yourself and you've gone into other stuff. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'm going to take no time. Thank you, by the way. That was a powerful speech. So let's get a timer. Everybody will get. For this, because of time, let me ask everybody, let me unmute everybody. Maybe we're going to give you guys, how long do you guys think you need to do justice to this?
I thought you would give us the time. I thought you were apportioning time to us.
No, I've apportioned to 2 minutes to everybody. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to talk. 10 minutes
to talk?
10 minutes is too much.
10 minutes is too much?
No,
yes.
To talk about your program, your roadmap.
Oh, hold on, let me listen to
Yes, I think 10 minutes is, for the first section or first session of their presentation, 10 minutes. Then the other person,
yeah, the 10 minutes is good
after
enough.
that. Yes, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes.
10 minutes is good enough. I want to get why in 2 minutes. That's still fine. But we'd rather you give us some details than give us some. Don't assume we know. People like me don't know. I'm still learning. So,
all right.
I'm
going to process all that at the same time. We can process at the same time. 10 minutes interval. Then after that, we can still give them more time.
Yes, that's good. Thank you, Madam.
So,
Emekesiri.
Yes.
Emekesiri.
That's correct.
Go first.
I should go first.
Yes. Oh, do you guys want to? You went for the first time. So
thank you for. I said thank you for the honor. We are talking about the roadmap to Biafra actualization. I believe that any person who has a vision should have a roadmap to accomplish that mission. And so, our roadmap to actualization of Biafran self-determination is the roadmap we call the due process or the legal methodology. Basically, there are two ways to get independence: the military method or the due process method. The military method, there is something else I may explain later when we go deeper into military method, because there is a concept of military diplomacy, which I will talk about in the course of this discussion. But our legal methodology consists of the judicial process, political process, and diplomatic process. So, why we have decided to use these three processes that constitute due process is because we have looked at the whole circumstances. We have looked at all the factors about Biafra independence struggle. We've looked at international factors. We've consulted widely, both at national and international level, and we have found out that the best approach in the circumstance is the legal methodology, or what we call the due process, consisting of the judicial method, diplomatic process, and political process. These three processes constitute the due process or legal methodology. Now, the Article 20, from Article 19 to 25 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which gives the right to self-determination, VIA also said that oppressed people have the right to free themselves from oppression by any means recognized by the international community. And in this time, in the present dispensation, the means recognized by the international community is the legal methodology, consisting of the judicial process, political process, and diplomatic process. And when we talk about political process, we mean both national and international politics. Because when we talk about political process, some people think, narrow it down. No, we are talking about both national and international politics. Good. So why do we think that legal method will be better than military method at the moment? Before a person fights a war, he is expected to count the cost, to think, plan very well. Just like Jesus Christ said, if you want to build a tower or a house, you first sit down and count the cost to know whether you will be able to accomplish, not when you start, on the way you get stuck and you stop there and people begin to laugh at you. Or when you want to go to a war against somebody who is coming with 100,000 soldiers and you have only 5,000 soldiers, you need to sit down and think, is it possible for me to overpower the other one and gain victory with only 5,000 soldiers? If you check yourself very well, you will now strategize and know whether to ask for some terms of peace. That's what we call feasibility and viability studies, feasibility and viability appraisal. So before you go into a project like this, Biafra project, you must do feasibility and viability studies, appraisal, know what it will take. And in a complex project, just like the Biafra project, is a complex project. We do phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of the project. So the Biafra project is a complex project which we have divided into phases. So the first phase is actually the awareness creation phase, which has been done by all the people that started the Biafra struggle from 1999. The noise and the protests and all the things that have been happening about over Biafra issue, this constitutes the awareness creation phase, and that awareness has been created all over the world. Then the next phase is the second phase of the Biafran independence project. And that second phase is what we are talking about. That is building ourselves together, holding ourselves together, creating a regional government of Biafra, being recognized as a nation within a nation, not yet a nation state. There's a difference between a nation and a nation state. In fact, Biafrans are a nation. As the International Court of Justice decided in the Greco-Bulgarian case of 1930, a group of people with the same lineage, the same ancestry, the same language, the same culture, the same lifestyle, they constitute a people because of the homogeneity, the oneness, the cultural affinity they have. So they constitute a people. So the Biafrans, if you check the Biafran territory, you can see that we fit into that definition of a people. So but we are a people, but not yet a nation state. A people constitute a nation, but not a nation state. So Biafrans are a nation, but not a nation state. So being a nation, we have power. But the problem is that most of us do not know the power of a nation within the nation state. So when we begin to understand the power of a nation and begin to act as a nation within the nation state, you will see that we will now transit to the next, that is nation state. Because you need to build up yourself. You need to grow. You need to strengthen yourself. You need to take control of your territory. In fact, when President Julius Nyerere made a statement in 1968, he said that the Biafrans have a homeland, and that gives us an advantage. That Biafrans have a homeland, that gives us an advantage, because in international law, you need to have a delimited territory. That's a defined territory for you to be recognized. Fortunately, we have a homeland. Fortunately, after the war, Biafrans were not annihilated and were not removed from their homeland. We are still in possession of the homeland. So that's an advantage for us. The next thing is to build up our homeland, take control of our homeland, and then transit into a de facto government. There's something called de facto government, which will now compel the international community to recognize us. In fact, the recognition can be de facto or de jure. Well, that is a matter of international law. But what I'm trying to say is that we need to build up the nation called Biafra within Nigeria first, before pulling out. And that's why we are talking about regional government. If we have a regional government, our regional parliament will be the one that will pass the law, bill of referendum into law for us to vote to pull out or to remain. Because if you talk about referendum at the moment and you go and present the bill of referendum at Abuja National Assembly, we will not win. We shall not win. That referendum will fail because we don't have enough seats at Abuja. We don't have enough seats at Abuja. Therefore, the only parliament that can pass a law and it will pass is a regional parliament. So if we have our regional parliament, that bill, referendum bill, will pass easily. So that's why we say the second stage, the second phase is very, very crucial. That second phase is building up the nation before going for the nation state. And we are using these three processes. All of them go simultaneously. The judicial process, the political process, and the diplomatic process. These three go simultaneously. That is why we put the case in court. And then we started meeting with the international community. We have met with France, we have met with Britain, we've met with Germany, we've met with the US. We have communicated with them since 2013. We have been communicating with these nations. In fact, the first country that invited us was Australia. And we sent delegates. Imagine Australia inviting us as Biafrans to sit down and discuss with them. Recently, I showed you the letter, our meeting with the British government, and they responded to us. Why are they responding to us if they don't care about us, or if they think we are a non-existent entity? They are responding because they know we exist. So they are responding to us as a nation, not yet a nation state. At the moment, we have started appointing customary government ambassadors to different countries. Maybe by next week you will hear more. We have started appointing customary government ambassadors to different countries. And when we appoint the countries, those nations are notified. The countries, the governments of those countries are notified. We serve notice and they recognize our customary government ambassador. We don't call them ambassador under customary law. We call them customary government envoy or emissary. But it's the same thing. It is the representative of Biafrans in that country as a nation, but not a nation state. So you gradually build the nation before you now ask for outright independence. Remember, you need to build friendship. You need to build friendship from the international community before you pull out. Even if you want to use military, which I said there is something I'm going to talk about military method. There is a concept of military diplomacy. That military diplomacy, you first win the hearts of international community, win friends, When you win friends from the international community, you can use military diplomacy and do unilateral declaration of independence, just like Kosovo. You know, when Kosovo declared independence unilaterally, you know that NATO countries joined them. NATO countries fought on their side and started bombarding Yugoslavia and Serbia, and took side with the KLA, the Kosovo Liberation Army. They had friends from the international community. Even now, there are some countries that don't recognize them, but there are some countries that recognize them. Of course, recognition in international law, there are two schools of thought about recognition. One school of thought says recognition is constitutive. Another school of thought says recognition is declaratory. Constitutive means that it's only when you are recognized that that nation is constituted. But that is not right. Because even when China, the People's Republic of China, got freedom in 1948, America, US did not recognize them until 1979, 31 years later. Yet they are in the UN, the same United Nations. So recognition doesn't actually mean that you don't exist. In fact, the declaratory school of thought is the one accepted now. The school of thought that says recognition is declaratory, it means that declaration is only declaratory of what is in existence. In fact, this was given prominence in the case between Britain and Costa Rica. Maybe you know it is in international law, it's called the Tinoco arbitration. In 1923, when Tinoco ousted the government of Costa Rica, and Britain did not recognize, and there was dispute. Eventually, it was taken to international arbitration, presided over by the previous chief judge of the United States Supreme Court, Mr. William Taft, who now looked at the circumstances and said, Tinoco has held this, even though Britain did not recognize, countries did not recognize, but Tinoco has ruled this country for 2 years with legislative assembly, de facto controlling, having structure on the ground, that this is accepted, is recognized under international law. So that's why we are saying de facto governance is very important. And take control of the territory. Take control of the territory. Then when you talk, people can recognize you. So, you see, I'm saying that these three things work together. You can use military diplomacy, but you have to be sure you have already got friends in the international community. So when you make a declaration, you will stand. But listen, you have to check your strength. Biafra made a unilateral declaration of independence in 1967 and did not succeed. Why? Now, at the moment where we are now, playing the politics, both international and national, we have been able to gather the Southeast, South-South, Southwest, and Middle Belt, and including Southern Kaduna. Now, these four regions constitute a bloc, can achieve independence by unilateral declaration of independence. But they have to build power. They have to build friendship with powerful nations in the international community, just like Kosovo did. You know, when Kosovo made the unilateral declaration, NATO came on their side. United States and UK came on their side. France was not happy with them. France said that they should first get the approval of United Nations Security Council. But the US and Britain said no, that they would not. But if they try to go to United Nations to get the approval of the Security Council, Russia and China will block them with their veto power, because they have power to veto it. So you can see that Kosovo has powerful friends in the international community. So Biafrans should have powerful friends also before you can start talking. Remember that in 1967, Biafrans were recognized by 5 countries: Tanzania, Zambia, Ivory Coast, Gabon, and Haiti. 5 countries. And actually, by the rules of international law, having been recognized by countries that have seats in the United Nations, you ought to be given seat in the United Nations. But they did not give Biafra a seat. Why? That is international politics I'm talking about. assuming that France was on our side, of course, France had sympathy for Biafra, but did not come out openly to declare support for Biafra. Assuming that one of the world powers like France, Britain, or Russia stood by Biafra and came out and supported Biafra and gave official recognition, you know that the balance of power will change. That's something, of course, you will know what we call balance of power in international law. So, because there was no balance of power, that equation, it tilted against Biafra. So, we can use military diplomacy, but that is when we have built friendship in the international community. That means we have to love them, we have to play along with them, you know, be their friends, work with them, you know, and then gain their hearts. When we win their hearts, then they can support you if anything happens. But if you begin to insult them and abuse them and you are not working together with them, and then something happens, you think that they will come and support you, they will not support you. So you will need to build friendship now. That is part of diplomacy. You need to build friendship both at national level and international. When I mean national, that's ethnic groups. You see the people in the South, Southwest, Middle Belt, even Northeast, the Kanuris. The Kanuris are not in good terms with the Fulanese. So, and their land is devastated. Boronu is devastated. Boronu, the Northeast is devastated. They're also looking for help. So you need to reach out to them also. Diplomacy is both at local level and international level. So when you get all this, before you can, if you want to use military method, yes, you have to be sure that you are strong. That when it happens, it will not be like 1967 when all of them conspired against us. But this time around, if we have all these people with us and you declare it, then 4 regions, assuming 4 regions against 2, of course you know that we shall overcome them. If the Middle Belt, the Southwest, the South-South, the Southeast, the 4 regions are at war with 2 regions in the North, we shall succeed. But before we go to that military combat, suppose we now put our bill in the National Assembly. Because when we talk about politics, some people say we don't have enough votes. Of course, Southeast alone doesn't have enough votes. We have only 15 senators, 15 senatorial seats. You know, in the Nigerian politics, every state has 3 senatorial districts, 3 senatorial districts. So Southeast has 5 states, and the 5 states, each state has 3 senatorial districts. That gives us 5 times 3, that's 15. Good. So we have only 15 seats as senators. Others have 18 and 21 senators. So if only our group, our states, if we present that bill, we will not pass. But if we lobby and get all others, all the senators in the Southwest, Southeast, South, Middle Belt, and part of Southern Kaduna, of course, and one of the senators brings a member's bill of referendum. It can be bill of referendum for either independence or restructuring to regional government. Once that bill is presented in the National Assembly, and all these 4 regions are one, with one heart, one mind, pursuing it, I tell you, that debate will be in our favor. Because at the end of the day, they will say, vote. And if they vote, there's no way the 4 regions, the senators, the seats in the 4 regions will not outweigh and override the seats in the two other regions in the north. So you can see that you can use that even before going to military declaration. That is unilateral declaration of independence. You can use the legislative method now, political, and pass the bill. I know that usually such a bill can cause problem in the National Assembly. People begin to fight. I have seen such a bill before, something they raised and they started throwing chairs and throwing seats at one another and even knocking one another. Yes, such a bill can cause a battle in the National Assembly and can cause physical combat, but let it start. Let somebody move that motion. Without going to unilateral declaration of independence, so I'm saying that unilateral declaration of independence causes war. But you can do it when you already have members of international community, powerful nations that can stand behind you. But since we are not yet sure, we are not yet sure of that, Let us now put, like throwing a bomb in the National Assembly. Let the bill of referendum for independence or referendum for restructuring, let that bill be thrown as a bomb in the National Assembly by any of the senators from the Southeast, South, Southwest, Middle Belt. Let them throw that bomb in the National Assembly and let's see what will happen. There will be a fight, but at the end of the day, we will succeed. Remember that in 1953, Chief Tony Enahoro moved the motion, the bill, in the parliament here in London for Nigeria to get independence. That was 1953. But remember that that motion did not sell through until after 7 years. From 1953, the motion was moved. 1953, he was shouted down. There was politicking and there was quarreling and disputing and argument over a period of 7 years before Nigeria got independence in 1960. Imagine a bill that was moved in 1953 became actual in 1960. So,
rounding up.
Okay, let me now round up. So what I'm trying to say is that let the process begin. I know that the Biafrans most often are not, I have observed, they're not patient to follow due process. They want it immediately, today. But everything has a process. Even if you did not go to university to study systems and organizational procedures, if you look at nature, you will see that nature has a system. Look at a tree. A tree starts growing small and it becomes a big tree. Look at the next person beside you. That person was a very tiny thing in the stomach of the mother, in the womb of the mother. But he stayed in the womb for 9 months and was born. And now was a little child and now has grown to be a big man. Everything has a process until growth. That is it. But I have heard that the Biafrans don't like, they don't want to be patient. In fact, somebody said, or when the motor is filled, they will now jump in and say, somebody saying, one chance, they jump in. But they don't want to be the first to enter and stay calmly, quietly for other passengers to come in. You have to one chance, then jump in and they say, and they take them to somewhere else they don't want to go. So patience, perseverance, these are very important. There are so many things I will talk, maybe as we have been told to round up. There are other things I will talk when we go into questions. Thank you, moderator. I think for now.
Yeah, everybody has heard you, so let's give it up for him, at least, but now to encourage him. So, Simon Ekpa, I didn't even know you're a lawyer until you just said that, so go ahead.
Did you say he's a lawyer?
Thank you, Adaejiagamba, the moderator. When you are listening to my brother, remember the reason for this debate today is to show the roadmap to getting Biafra. Our brother spoke the way he spoke and make references, and I begin to wonder, a lot of things he said here, what is actually different from what the IPOB they are doing today, from what he had explained. The only difference is that IPOB is not adopting the customary law. Now, let me start by telling you the reason why I accepted to debate with him today. The reason I accepted to debate with him is that I alleged that he is using his group to bring what I called divisional tactics to disrupt the agitation for Biafra. That is where I'm going to start. So Emekesiri and his group is using what I call divisionary tactics. The divisionary tactics is that you bring confusion and bring problem when there are no problem. If Emekesiri claim that customary law, like he explained it, let me not address what he said. Now let me go straight to what I feel is the roadmap before I address what he said. First of all, he has pointed out of this will be gotten even through a then is the due process, but the due process is not coming from Nigeria. And the due process, which is also the legal process of getting Biafra, is not going to be coming and will never ever come from Nigeria. I know how and where and which channel to channel that legal process, and it will begin to yield fruit. And I'm not going to discuss it with him on this platform, but I'm going to address the issues that are publicly available, which is public knowledge. Now, the issue of building international relations, making friends with nations and other powerful nations of the world is essential in getting Biafra. And that is what IPOB has done. When I joined the agitation for Biafra, I have my reason, first of all, for supporting the IPOB, because after making my investigation, I found out that every Biafran who is really genuine, looking for the freedom of Biafra, should support indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, under the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, Emekesiri said that you need to build friendship with the external world, with the world powers. Today, I'm telling you, even the Aso Rock recognized the fact that IPOB are spending over $100,000 every month to lobby in the United States of America. And that have yielded result. It yielded result that we are about to have what we call the envoy. When the United States of America recognize at least the injustice, the ethnic cleansing going on in Nigeria today, even though when there is no Biafra coronation to it, it is part of the politics. It is part of the international politics he is talking about. And IPOB already have gone so deep into that. Number two, he talked about military unilateral declaration of Biafra. He talked about the problem Biafra had during the 1967. This same approach is what I saw in the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that made me to come publicly and defend everything they do, even without being an oath member of IPOB. Now, he also mentioned about a de facto government. You see, all these things he mentioned can never be achieved in Nigeria. He talked about the Senate bringing a referendum bill to the House of Senate. You see that he was talking from the both sides. First of all, he told you how it is not possible in this Nigeria, in the present structure of Nigeria. Second of all, he came back again to tell you how it is going to be possible if you have other regions together to join you. But today, Emekesiri will know the reason why this kind of approach can never work in Nigeria, because he has searched for the answer, and it seems that even today, he have not seen the answer to why any senator cannot actually come to the National Assembly and pass a bill or a referendum or restructuring of Nigeria. Emekesiri also did not remember that during the time of Jonathan, he's talking about restructuring and passing a bill. When you have a president of a country from a particular ethnic group in Nigeria, that president of a country sponsored national conference. Is it when a president failed that ordinary minority from the southern part of Nigeria will succeed at the National Assembly? The president of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan, sponsored national conference. National conference when he had executive power to do everything, including controlling the Senate. But he failed. Do you know why he failed? He failed because Nigeria is a failed nation. He failed because people like Emekesiri do not understand Nigeria, the reality in Nigeria and what is on ground. And I am going to explain to him today. I am going to explain to him today what Nigeria is all about. What Nigeria is all about, in case my brother don't understand and his followers don't understand, is that it is not just about politics. Nigeria is structured so that at the end of the day, Fulanis will Fulanize Nigeria. Nigeria is structured so that at the end of the day, the Islamic State will take over Nigeria. That is the reason why whenever you see those things he is mentioning, which ordinarily could work in a very sensible society, it will never work in Nigeria, because the agenda of the Fulani and when we talk about Fulani, let me not just misquote, When we talk about Fulani, we are talking about the northeast and the northwest of Nigeria. So the northwest and northeast of Nigeria comprises of Fulani, Hausa, and Hausa Fulani. So, and to even crown it more, to know that this my brother lacks knowledge about the reality in Nigeria. First of all, he told you that the Kanuri people are not happy with Fulani.
Just a minute. With all due respect, you're going personal. Don't make it at home. Just stick to your stuff without attacking him. So
no, I'm not attacking him. I'm not attacking him. I'm just addressing the issues he raised.
Okay.
You understand?
I'm not attacking.
He's going to address my own issue as well. I'm not attacking him, please.
All right.
Yes. So now, but just so that he will understand where Nigeria problem is coming from. Because for you to begin to address the issue of Nigeria, you first of all need to understand where the problem is coming from. So now, he talked about Kanuri people not happy with the Fulanis, forgetting that the Kanuri people are the Boko Haram you are seeing today. So he don't understand the concept of Boko Haram or the agenda of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Now, the concept, the roadmap to getting Biafra. One is this. You are going to bring in the southern part of Nigeria and the part of Middle Belt. After bringing them together, you invoke Section 14 of Nigeria Constitution 1999 as amended, which means that the Constitution belongs to people of Nigeria. By the majority of the southern part of Nigeria and some part of the Middle Belt, you are going to bring in what we call revolution, peaceful process. It is also a democratic process. It is not military. You come together, tell Nigeria government that Nigeria is not working again. For that reason, the majority of people of Nigeria has come to take back their country. That is how revolution is done. It is protected under the Constitution, under international law, including under the national law, the Constitution of Nigeria. So, you have to invoke Section 14 of 1999 Constitution as amended by revolting peacefully against the government of the day, which I believe are terrorist governments, sponsoring terrorism. Now, this is number one. Number two roadmap to getting Biafra is what the IPOB, under the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is doing today. Nnamdi Kanu is creating awareness globally. Nnamdi Kanu is lobbying. Remember, lobbying is very important, and lobbying is part of what he has explained here. Nnamdi Kanu is lobbying the United States. Nnamdi Kanu is forget about the attack or the way, the manner of his agitation or the manner he broadcast. He is lobbying and spending huge amount of money to lobby. And federal government of Nigeria, the presidency of Nigeria has acknowledged this for the first time. That is the second roadmap to Biafra. How would America influence the Biafra freedom? There is what we call veto power at the UN. There are countries that enjoy veto power in the United Nations, and America happens to be one of the countries that enjoy veto power. And somebody said we should not expose everything. That is actually true. That's why I said there are something I'm not going to say here, but those that are public knowledge, I am going to review it here. So number two is this friendship, like you mentioned, making friendship with the international community and all that. Now IPOB is doing that. So, and why am I claiming that he is using divisionary tactics to disrupt the Biafra struggle? If Emekesiri agrees that you need friendship with international community to get Biafra, why is he not in good term and working, at least, even if he wants to work separately, why is he not working with Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB? So that we will speak in one voice. If Emekesiri believes that there is a due process And the due process will come from international due process and the national due process, which is using Nigeria customary law, which is not, it can never be possible. Why is he not channeling the energy to support Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB so that we'll have more weight? Now, if he also believes that there could be a unilateral declaration of Biafra by, first of all, making friendship with these world powers, that could now come to support Biafra when if there is a military action or something like that. Why is he not using that same energy to support the Biafra agitators under the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Remember, I am not a member. Remember, I am not an oath member. But because I am a true Biafran, I am a genuine Biafran who wants Biafra freedom. And I have seen that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB are doing the right thing, and a lot of people don't know what they are doing. Why is he not using the energy to support what they are doing so that we will not be seen as people that are divided? Because I have watched some of his videos, and time permits me, I am going to play some of his videos, at least one of the videos, where he was making references and claiming how we, the Biafra agitators, need to be tutored and orientated about the legality and all the ways we can get and go about Biafra instead of coming to shout on social media. That is the product of a divisionary tactics. Divisionary tactics is that you are agitating the same thing, wanting to use the same method that other people are using, at the same time condemning them, trying to portray yourself that we are not one. And the aim of this debate today is, after this debate, what I'm going to present here, believe me, if my brother agrees, because now we have agreed on many things. We have agreed that, first of all, you need diplomatic relation. You need to make friends with all world powers to be able to get Biafra. You need to make sure that the powerful country recognizes you. That we are agreeing that it is part of the roadmap to Biafra. And I am telling him now that IPOB has gone so deep in that relationship, building that relationship with other nations. So if he agrees that this is one of the pathways to getting Biafra, why is he not supporting that brother, which is Nnamdi Kanu? He must not join him, but publicly to support so that it will show unification of Biafra. But when he go and tell people like he did now that we need to be tutored about Biafra, it seems he is bringing the divisionary tactics which the Fulani have used to cage and enslave us for many decades. Also, under this international relation, diplomacy, building friendship, on this ground, my whole argument is going to base. I'm going to base my whole argument today on the international relation. And that is why I've always said, if we do not get Biafra from Nigeria, we will bring Biafra from diaspora. This thing I have always said means a lot of things. That if Nigeria did not give us Biafra, we are going to bring Biafra from diaspora. He also talked about the mistake of 1967, the mistake we made. Yes, and that is the reason why we are very active on social media. He said that we have done a lot of awareness. I don't agree with him. We have not done a lot of awareness. He said we have done a lot of noise and it is time to go into action. I did not agree with him because he is also making noise today. Because now he's having broadcasts every week, every Saturday. That means we still have a lot of noise to make. So the awareness, creating awareness, was one of the things we lacked the most in 1967. And I dare to tell you today that I have been making an exposition of the United States secret document on Biafra. The secret document of the United States in 1969 suggests that U.S. was turning back on Nigeria and embracing Biafra. The activities, the decision of the United States of America in 1969, which I have most of the secret documents, even from the CIA, suggests that the United States of America were turning back on Nigeria, and because we lack this diplomacy, We lacked this friendship with the Western world in those days. That was the reason nobody actually had access to the telegram between Nigeria government, Federal Military Government of Nigeria and the United States of America. I believe that no Biafra activist had access to that document, because had it been they have access to the document, they would realize that the body language of America was changing, and there was a need not to embrace or harness that opportunity as it comes. So the third roadmap to Biafra is that we need to create this awareness globally, apart from making friends with this veto, with this world power at the UN that have veto power, which we believe have business interest with the Nigerian government. But one thing is this: Nigeria is not working. When we are talking about referendum, my brothers should remember that you are talking about going back to 1953 structure of Nigeria, when you do not have Fulani herdsmen killing. You are talking about going back to 1953 structure when there were no Boko Haram. You are talking about going back to the old structure of Nigeria when Nigeria was a regional government, when there were no bandits. You were talking about going back to have a good structure and a referendum in Nigeria, and you want to go back to the old system when you had no Asaru terrorist group in Nigeria as at then. You are talking about the restructuring Nigeria, when Nigeria, that you want to restructure Nigeria to the old, to go back to the old days, when Nigeria has become, in 2020, the third most dangerous terrorist country in the world. You are talking about, because people should separate 1968 or 1953 government, regional government of Nigeria with 2020. This problem have deteriorated to something that it has become irredeemable. So, are you going to stay in a Nigeria, in a refined, structured Nigeria with Boko Haram? Is a restructured Nigeria going to stop Fulani from coming to your backyard to graze cow, to do their grazing? That's a question. Is restructuring Nigeria going to wipe away the interest of terrorists, 5 different terrorist groups that we have today in Nigeria that we did not have during the 1950s? These are the issues that ordinary person should consider before coming out to agitate for freedom of Biafra. Because freedom of Biafra should be freedom, total freedom, not freedom of Biafra in Nigeria. Freedom of Biafra in Nigeria can never be possible under the current structure with the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature controlled by the same people who want to take over Nigeria. So my reason and my point here with my brother is that he made a very nice point of the international, playing the international politics. But I am totally disagreeing with him for anything to do with restructuring Nigeria, anything to do with having a regional government in Nigeria, anything to do with Biafra in Nigeria. Because the problem we have today is not just leadership problem. We have problem of terrorists. Fulani herdsmen coming to occupy our land, kill our women, rape our children, butcher them like animals. So restructuring will not stop them from coming. Regional government will not stop them from coming. So why do we have to restructure and have a regional government when we will still have them to come and kill our people and their agenda is taking over our land? So we need a total cutoff from them. And like I said, it is going to come from international community. It is going to come from Nigeria. It is also going to come from unilateral declaration of Biafra, either militarily or either through a protest. Because when you have a revolutionary protest, the revolutionary protest can bring anything to the nation. He mentioned about Yugoslavia also. And I am telling him today, the North Sudan and South Sudan were then not part of British colony, but they had their independence. So the issue of Nigeria and Biafra need an in-depth knowledge so that people will not be misled. Like when you look at the comments and people say, I am attacking him. A lot of people are already commenting, I am attacking him, I am attacking him, because they are already made up their mind. They don't want to listen to my argument, you know. So they say, I'm attacking him. You see, we need to entangle this in-depth knowledge about Nigeria. You have to understand Nigeria before you can talk about disintegration, before you can talk about restructuring, before you can talk about any kind of regional government. Regional government in Nigeria can never work. I agree with him that we need to build our relationship with the Western world, which the IPOB, they are doing. I agree with him that we need to have diplomacy, which IPOB are doing. I agree with him that I don't know whether because he don't believe that Nigeria will never work again. I don't know about that. But like when he started his opening speech, he introduced himself as a real estate souvenir or something. I don't know whether that real estate is in the United Kingdom or in Nigeria, because those people shouting for one Nigeria or a restructured Nigeria have always something business interest in Nigeria, and that is what is carrying them away. That is what is carrying them away. So if his personal business or business interest or real estate interest is in Nigeria, that is understandable. Now I can understand why he is doing what he's doing. But I want to assure him that if Biafra comes today, every of his business interests will be secure under international law. So I stop here. I don't want to use 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sure you used more than 10 minutes because I wasn't even timing it. I let you talk. So let's give it up for Simon Ekpa.
And please, my sister, I am not attacking him, but we need to bring facts because the debate is between me and him. So I'm not attacking him. I'm calling his name because I need to mention his name because the debate is between me and him. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We've all heard from both sides. We heard from Barrister Emekesiri. Forgive me, however I mean I call it.
That's all right. No worries.
Yeah. We've heard from him. We've equally heard from Simon Ekpa. So I'm sure all of you were taking notes while they were talking. I'm going to give us opportunities to ask questions because I don't want it to be you guys talking back and forth, and it's nothing.
Exactly.
It's nothing personal at all. So we are all equal stakeholders in this struggle, and this struggle is bigger than
anyone. And my sister, I am appealing to Emekesiri. If after this debate he found out that there is some senses, especially the issue concerning restructuring Nigeria or having a regional government, if there is some senses in what I have said, I am also ready and open to embrace him as a brother. And let us champion discourse.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I was going to give the audience opportunity to ask questions. Thank God today we have at least everybody. We're not too many. It's not like the 1,000 we had in North. So we're not too many. Everybody, most of us will get opportunity if we stick to time. So let me put my timers. We're going to be asking questions, so who wants to ask questions? Let me indicate by raising your hand digitally. Okay. The fellow wants to raise his hand already. So let me unmute you, and then you can ask us. Unmute yourself. Please, if you want to ask questions, raise your hand digitally. How to do that? You go to the, I believe in the participants. There's, if you scroll down, there's an icon for you to raise your hand. So the ones to go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Adaejiagamba. My question is to Simon Ekpa. I am a veteran of the Biafran War, and I'm also a veteran of foreign war. Now, my question to you is this. I know that the current government we have in Nigeria are not really prepared for anything that Emeka was suggesting, because their idea was to soak the Quran in the Atlantic. And soaking the Quran in the Atlantic means that they want to Islamize us, they want to occupy, rape our women and children. That's their plan.
Yep.
That's something hashed out by Ahmadu Bello. But for you, what I'm hearing from you is the other way around. Now, as somebody who's been a veteran, I mean, there are certain things that might not be, feasible to discuss here. But do we have any plans? Because what you are saying is, if push comes to shove, we have to engage them. And engaging them is getting ourselves prepared for eventuality. That's war. What plans, do we have the support we need? I'm not going to ask you to tell me what plans you're making or IQB is making. But are we sure that we have people that will support us going that route? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zewosu.
Thank you very much. Do I go ahead? Do I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead and answer the question.
Okay. So, thank you, Zewosu. That was a very brilliant question. And the truth is that I am very, very happy that you acknowledge the fact that because of the present government in Nigeria, the approach of my brother Emekesiri is dead on arrival. I am very, very happy for acknowledging that. Number two is that for those who feel that this government is coming and going, that those kind of people should also have a rethink, because this government has come to stay. This government will never come and go. So why am I saying this? I am saying this because if you have agreed that with the kind of government we have on ground now, this kind of approach of Emekesiri and his group will never work, means that it will never ever work, because this government has come and stay. They have hijacked the judiciary, they have hijacked the executive, they have hijacked the National Assembly, and the law, even the state judiciary has been hijacked by them. They have stripped the governors, the only power they have to control the judiciary, which is part of the fund of the state judiciary, has been hijacked from these people. So it have rendered governors incapacitated by taking away the judiciary from the state governors. That is number two. Point of order.
Asking you, are we prepared for war? That's what he's asking. How ready are we for war?
Please, can you not interrupt me? Can you not interrupt me? I will never speak a word when you are talking. So please, when you have your time, you will talk as much as you want. I will never utter a word. So please don't interrupt me when I'm talking, because if you interrupt me, you are disturbing.
Okay, guys,
you see, I'm not going to interrupt you, but anyway. So what I'm saying is that why I'm making this reference is that it is in connection with the question. It is in connection with the question. So now, why he said if we are ready militarily, I would say this. Of course, it is not everything that we will say public, but I will say this. We will be ready militarily if the need arises. Because the friendship we are making today, which my brother Emekesiri said that we need friendship, it's not only friendship on diplomacy. It is going to be on friendship on anything that is going to happen. And I'm telling you now that even in the Biafra War, during the Biafra War, when the friendship were not there, from 1969 telegram between the U.S. Department of State and the ambassador to Nigeria and to the federal military government of Nigeria, they were already turning their back on Nigeria and embracing Biafra. They turned down Gowon request not to sell the air cargo to the American Church Relief Agency, because they claim that they are going to use that aircraft to smuggle arms to Biafra. So American government rejected this request from Gowon, which means they turned Nigerian government down. At the dying minute, and nobody from Biafra land knew this. Now, after that, the Nigerian government turned to Russia, and you begin to see the presence of Russia in Biafra land, in Nigeria. And the American government warned the Nigerian military government about the presence of Russians in Nigeria. So if the war breaks, what we are doing now is making friends with this powerful nation, telling them our problem, and believe me, no country is happy with Nigeria today. Nigeria have shown the purity of the highest order. So any same government, the only thing that makes other country to still do business with Nigeria is because Nigeria continues to remain a sovereign state of a sovereign state. So they have to respect that international treaty, they have to respect that international law, and they have business interests in Nigeria. So long as Biafra is still not a country yet, they have to continue to do business with Nigeria. So I will tell you, when the time comes, by the time we finish our awareness and this friendship we are making now, when the time comes, you will see the nations, the powerful nations of the world back in Biafra. We are not terrorist people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you want to raise your hand, you do it digitally, because if you are doing like this, I wouldn't know whether you want to ask questions or you're just acknowledging. Raise your hand digitally. Right now, I have like 9 people that raise their hands. So I'm saying that to Chief Robinson was raise your hand digitally. So I'm going to go by the order of the people that raise their hands so that nobody accuses me of being partial to any particular person. I don't know anybody personally here. Well, I take that back. So I have Favor. I will unmute yourself. And
okay. Thank you very much. Because when you were here, so that you can understand, I'm coming from a professional background. I'm a graduate of political science. I have my master's in international relations.
Okay, Chief, I will come here because I'm not quite in a corner. I will actually.
Okay, I'm also a soldier here. I know I have taken troops to Afghanistan. I keep saying it. I know how nations take decisions to support nation or not. I didn't know here. I know they see about America and all those things. I am telling you the honest truth. Why the US got involved or involved NATO now Kosovo was because it was election time for Bill Clinton, and during that period, the Irish Americans had their stake, and to woo that vote to make the difference, he went into that war. The same reason Obama empowered gay LGBT here, because he needed to consolidate his re-election. You don't understand how these things work. It's not just what you say. Then another truth, if you look at what happened in Syria, the Syrian rebels thought that the US will support them like we are thinking now. And up till today, go there and ask them questions. So from pragmatic point of view, my question is, your strategies, both of you, in what countries do you have examples of where they work? That is one. Number two is, please, nobody is more Igbo than the rest. And that is our problem. Everybody thinks, no, Igbo, you are not. We are all equal stakeholders. Let us understand it. We can come from different and to be fair to everybody. Simon, my concern with IPOB as of today is that IPOB is doing more to alienate people from their struggle by their cooperative stance with other people. You don't see anybody. Yes, you don't have.
Thank you so much, sir. Your time is up. So,
okay.
I don't know if you asked the question.
I think the question was directed at me now, right?
Okay, Simon, just 2 minutes. That question is directed to both of you because we want to hear both of you. So I'm going to give you guys. I need to be strict about this because people,
The first thing is I want to react to.
So 2 minutes for both of you to react to the question. So let Simon go first. Simon, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, my sister. First of all, I want to tell my brother from that just spoke now that the Syria issue is totally different. Syria, we are not looking for an independent state. They were looking for change of government in Syria. So it cannot be compared to Biafra. Second of all, we should know that Nigeria of today is breeding criminal. Nigeria is bringing criminals to international community. They are bringing internet fraudsters. They are bringing terrorists, which have posed a very serious danger to international community, including to America. So America will do everything, not only America, European Union, they will do everything to make sure that the impending danger that Nigeria is posing to international community must be stopped. And it is our responsibility to tell them how this impending danger that is about to come to America will stop. It is our responsibility. We have to give them the responsibility. We have to tell them how to end this problem. And it is by making this lobbying, making this friendship with them. You mentioned about IPOB. I am telling you today, you don't know I am not an oath member of IPOB. So that actually disputes your opinion about IPOB, because you said that IPOB is making people who are not their member to be. I don't understand the question, but anyway, however, the question you are throwing the question out as if IPOB is like isolating people or isolating themselves, that if you are not a member of IPOB, you cannot be part of them. But I'm telling you today, as I'm standing and sitting here, I am not an oath member of IPOB, but IPOB, acknowledge what I'm doing for the restoration of Biafra, and I love them because I know they are genuinely.
Your time is up anyway. Your time is up. Thank you. Go ahead,
Now, listen. I want to. This is from the United States. This is from the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, page 27. Verse 27. This is from United States Publishing. Now, they listed your iPod under page 27, attacks in house of worship. They now say, in Anambra State, in May, media reported that members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, a group seeking Biafra independence, attacked 5 Christians, including a priest, for holding a mass in defiance of IPOB orders to stay at home. Now, this is the report from the United States. And based on that report, this report was given in April 2020. And then in June, then President Trump now passed the executive order on advancing international religious freedom. That was the 2nd June 2020. And then used your name, the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB under Nnamdi Kanu, as you said, has entered into their record as a group that is to be watched. In fact, for that now, Nigeria has entered their record as a country of particular concern. So if you are talking about diplomacy, that your group is talking with the American government, that is not true. And I have seen records where Tony Nnadi has made presentation to the United Nations, to the United States Congress. I've seen such presentations. So if you are talking about people reaching or speaking at the United States Congress or making inroads, I think you give credit to Tony Nnadi, because I have seen his work in reaching out. So for you now to say what he did is what you have done, that is not correct. Now let me read out also what your own group. Now you are talking about diplomacy and.
Okay. All right, your 2 minutes is up, sir. I'm timing in. Thank you.
Okay, don't want me to read this one.
Well,
Can I respond? Can I respond?
No, we're not going to have that back and forth. We're not going to have that back and forth. When the next person asks question, hold on your thought, then you can use it. We're going to keep to this time, otherwise we're not going to get out of here. So I have a lot of people that raise their hands, and I will call on Dr. Patrick Ude. Go ahead. Unmute yourself. You muted yourself.
All right. Okay, am I true? All right.
Hold on, let me put your timer, because I don't want you to just start. All right, go ahead.
All right, my name is Dr. Adaejiagamba Patrick Ude. I live in New York. I support any movement for Biafra. However, my question is basically on the strategy. I have listened to the 2 young men. You guys did a brilliant job. But for Mr. Ekpa, I did not get a clear road map. By the way, I have a PhD in strategic management, and that's what I teach. So there is no clear road map.
You said you will bring Biafra from the diaspora, and that will be assumed through war. My question is, have you talked to the people of Biafra to know if they want another war? That's number one. Secondly, if you're not going the route of war, what effort have IPOB made to gain a political control on the ground, so that, because I have not really seen a self-determination group that has been won from abroad. Catalonia, Scotland, Quebec, all these have political control. What effort are you doing, both of you, to gain political control on the ground? Those are my...
Thank you. At least you spoke to 10. All right. So who want to go first? I think
I can start. Okay. So first of all, let me address
hold on. I gotta time you because I don't want it to start all over.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let me first of all address the issue he raised from the report of the United States also. First of all, he mentioned that according to media reports, so the United States, wherever, or the UN, wherever the report was coming from Nigeria. It was what a Nigerian media report wrote that they copied and pasted there. Like you heard him say, according to the media report. So that media report, should first of all verify whether the media report was factual. They are finding whether how accuracy it is that IPOB are attacked. That is one. Number two is that he mentioned Tony Nadi. Now I should know where he's coming from. These are one Nigeria people looking for new Nigeria, movement of new Nigeria in Nigeria. So I'm not surprised you mentioned Tony Nadi to justify my claim, my earlier allegation about your movement. Another thing is that this, my brother asked about, as you talk about the people of Biafra, whether we have talked about the people of Biafra. First of all, let me correct you. I did not say we are bringing Biafra from diaspora through war. No, that is not what I say. I said we are bringing Biafra from diaspora. It doesn't suggest that it is through war. But I am saying, answering to the question of our brother, that what if it happens that they bring war to us? Of course, we have to fight the war if they bring the war to us. Nigeria is already at war. You asked about political control. It is not possible to have political control in Nigeria at the moment, because I will use Igbo State as example. Anybody who wants to bring you, who wants to tell you that they want to control, they want to put their people in Nigeria and Nigeria politics, it is impossible. It cannot happen. That is why I said they have a giant judiciary. They will declare Nigeria and tell you to go to court. So Emekesiri knows this very well. Putting your person in government or in political offices in Nigeria is not possible.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I need to time you too. Go ahead, Barrister Emekesiri.
Now, he is talking about Nigerian politicians controlling politics in Biafra land. That is his problem. At the moment, the politicians you have there are Nigerian politicians. Whether you call them Igbo people or Biafran people, they are Nigerian politicians. We are talking about Biafran activists taking over power in Biafra land, taking control of our region. Biafran activists, not Nigerian politicians. All these people, in fact, we have not got any Biafran politician yet. These people were all voted in as Nigerian politicians. They did not go in with a mission to advocate for Biafran independence. This is different from what you're having in Scotland, where Scottish activists enter the parliament and begin to advocate for Scottish independence. This is different. We are yet to have Biafran politicians, and this is why we have started grooming and training up Biafran politicians now to have our own political party. Remember, it is the chairman of the political party that decides who runs for this election, who runs for this post, who runs for Senate, who runs for the House of Assembly. It is the chairman. That means you have to control the political party you will use. So Biafrans have to have their own political party, just like SNC, Scottish National Party, SNP in Scotland. That is Scottish National Party. They have their own political party for the activists, for activists. So we're talking about Biafran activists. So you're making a mistake by saying, no, it cannot work. It cannot work because you have failed to do it. when Biafran activism started in 1999, they did not create Biafra, they did not groom and train Biafran politicians. We're not talking about Nigerian politicians. That's what you are misunderstanding. We're talking about Biafran politicians. Train them and give them assignment. This is what you are going for. They now go as Biafran.
Okay, your time is up, sir. Thank you so much. No, you're not responding nothing. I'm calling on Chief Fred Nwankwo to unmute himself and ask his question. You gotta unmute yourself. You muted yourself. If you're not ready, I'm moving on to the next person.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barrister Emekesiri and Simon Ekpa. I commend you for what you're doing. However, Mr. Ekpa, I don't think it's unknown to anybody that I'm very, very skeptical about IPOB. And I don't say it out of disrespect. Let me tell you why I say that. One of the things you said here is that the Nigerian government is breeding terrorists. But my concern is that, like somebody insinuated to you earlier, you have to win the people you are fighting for. There is a lot of concerns from Igbos about IPOB, not because we don't like Nnamdi Kanu. We sympathize with what he's going through. But the reality is that as an Igbo man, me, Fred Nwankwo, I'm very concerned about a Biafra that is run by this group of IPOB agitators, because you tend to do what you accuse the Nigerian government of. You terrorize Igbo people. You intimidate Igbo people. In the last election, there was something going viral on WhatsApp with an IPOB member that was looking like he had smoked 10,000 whatever of weed, threatening that if anybody steps into the streets to go and vote, he's going to deal with them. That's not how you deal with people you're trying to help. So I'd like you to address that.
Your time is up, sir. Okay, let me restart the stuff. Go ahead, Simon.
Yes. First of all, let me address what my brother Emekesiri said. He said that he's talking about Biafra activists coming into a political position in Nigeria. I am pointing it out clearly. Bringing in Biafra activists to take over control of political offices in Nigeria is not possible. I make reference to what happened in Imo State. For example, Adaowa is perceived to be pro-Igbo governor, or was perceived to be a pro-Igbo governor. What did the federal government do? They have installed a judiciary, Tanko Mohammed, and they declared Hope Uzodimma a winner from 4th position. Everybody knows that it is not possible. Emekesiri is a lawyer, is a legal expert. He knows that under normal circumstances, Hope Uzodimma is not supposed to be the governor of Imo State. But they have removed Adaowa, installed him, and heaven will not fall. So the issue of Biafra activists coming to take over political offices is dead on arrival. It is not possible, and this government has come to stay. My brother also asked about being concerned about IPOB. My brother, when you just use one person to make reference. IPOB have made it very clear that after Biafra is restored, like when you have independent or referendum of Biafra, they are going to dissolve IPOB. I think that this statement has answered you. Nnamdi Kanu made it very clear that after this whole Biafra, that they are going to dissolve IPOB. IPOB was constituted to make sure they fight for Biafra, and you don't agitate for freedom with a clear eye. So when you see one person doing like that, you cannot generalize it that IPOB is evil. I am not oath member of IPOB, but I'm defending them because I have researched so deep into knowing what is going on and what they are doing. And everything I said here is verifiable. Thank you very much.
Your time is up, sir. Your time is up. So, let's see who else has a raised hand. Levi Ekon, unmute yourself. Emeron, I believe. Unmute yourself. Guys, you need to be ready if you raise your hand so that we don't spend time asking you to unmute yourself. Are you ready, or do I move to the next person?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We're hearing you.
So actually, my point is contribution. In the struggle to actualize Biafra, an independent state of Biafra, I think every hand must be on deck. In situation that when we see a section, a part as fighting against themselves wouldn't work. And the situation that we receive threats from every nook and cranny from different people, as long as those people don't have the same belief or have a little form of disagreement with you, should stop. Otherwise, we end up wasting time, right? You cannot be fighting for yourself, then at the same time having a lot of division against yourself. So what I'm trying to put across is this. IPOP and whosoever and the other splinter groups that are advocating for Biafra should come together. We may disagree to agree, but we have to put across a very pregnant message that within ourselves we can work as a team and as a people. Otherwise, the struggle will be dead on arrival. That's my little contribution.
All right, thank you.
So can I respond to that?
What are you responding again to? Is a contribution?
No, it is a very good. It's a very good statement.
Go ahead.
I want to 1 minute.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. This my brother just spoke now exactly what we are looking for, and that's why I said to Emekesiri, if your agenda and the IPOB agenda have something in common, especially with the international politics in it, why don't you bring it in and work together with them instead of bringing these divisionary tactics? That is why I use the word divisionary tactics to continue to maintain one Nigeria. So this divisionary tactics is what is the reason why I have come here today to even debate with him, because we need to end all this division, all this group and group. We need to end it.
Okay. If that is, I think, can I come in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, fine. The first thing is, why can't we work together? Two cannot work together except they are in agreement. That is, their minds and their spirits are in agreement. Now that you know that we believe that we can put Biafran activists in power, and you don't believe it, you say it is not possible. Even if we have our own political party, that we cannot present our own Biafran candidate, you say it's not possible. You can see that we are not reasoning the same way. We don't have the same mind. We are not moving the same. So it's not possible for two to work together except they be in agreement. Now, for me, let me read out something you said. When I say you, that is your group. This is written. It's in public domain. Every calamity that has ever befallen the Biafran people in the expired Lugard contraption flourishing named Nigeria were perpetrated by those Igbos born outside Biafra land of dubious and questionable parentage. The list is endless, right from Dr. Azikiwe to the fool called Ekpa Biasika, whom I am certain is in hell. Henceforth, and in keeping with our oath, all saboteurs will be caught and executed. There will be no mercy, no pardon, no forgiveness. All traitors must die, and so to their families. This nonsensical disease of Igbo saboteurs springing up all over the place in the name of having a different opinion on Biafra liberation will no longer be tolerated, especially those who claim they are Biafrans, but they are supporting APC or APC candidates, unquote. The best antidote to lies and deceit is truth. The best antidote to treachery and sabotage is death. To all the amateur lawyers experimenting with Biafra independence in Nigerian law court and their shameless deceit, your end is near. This is the PM edition of Radio Biafra Live broadcast of 14 June 2014 from Enugu, the capital city of Biafra land. In this episode, 3 questions below APC BHRI will never answer, and which they must pressure to provide answers are: 1. Why is below APC BHRI continuing to deceive Biafrans with a court case when there is no recorded case in history where a country got independence through the legal method? Ask them to name one country that got freedom through the court. Say no to further deceit in the name of Biafra. Join the revolution today. Without violence, there will be no Biafra. No country wants to have freedom through legal method. This legal method rubbish is fraud. No compromise, no retreat, no surrender, Biafra or death, unquote. Now, this is from your group. You can see the mindset. This legal methodology is a fraud. And therefore, and you cannot get Biafra except by violence. So when you see this is your manifesto, and you said I will not join you, meanwhile it is because of this thing, because you're asking question, why shouldn't I join your group? Why should I join your group when it was Nnamdi that was excommunicated? This is the excommunication. It's in the public domain because it's published all over the world. When he was ostracized on 12th of May 2014, when he was ostracized from the original indigenous people of Biafra. Indigenous people of Biafra, I created it. It's in this book. Go and read it and know why it was created and called indigenous people of Biafra. So why should I create? It's an insult to say I should join you. It is just an insult. Someone that was excommunicated for gross misconduct for all the evils he's committed. You are trying to, making it a person that I should join you. That is stupidity. Why should I join somebody that in fact right now he's standing trial under Section 8 of the Criminal Code? Any person that is a member of his organization is also an accused person because under Section 8, that joint enterprise, joint purpose, the law of joint purpose, every member of his group is also standing trial because that is the law. So how can I join a person that is already standing trial? In fact, how can I even join somebody that the elders ostracized and excommunicated and place a curse on him? He's under a curse. How can I do that? You are talking and talking. You said that I have business interests in Nigeria. I think you don't know who I am. I said I am a barrister and solicitor, a chartered estate surveyor and valuer, and a pastor. That's what I said. Did I tell you I have business? I have estates in Nigeria? You see how you understand your thing. That's your own type of understanding. You say you're a legal expert. I don't know where your chambers is, but I have my chambers both in London and in Nigeria. I have my chambers. I don't know where you practice. So what we're talking about, I said I am a barrister and solicitor, a chartered estate surveyor and valuer, and a pastor. I didn't say I have estates in Nigeria. That is stupid inference you are making. That is foolishness. You can't just be talking like that. So I am a barrister and solicitor. Barrister of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Solicitor of England and Wales. Chartered estate surveyor and valuer. I'm pastor. And that's what I am. And I should say what I am. But to say I have businesses. Listen. Okay, now let us talk about having businesses in Nigeria. Listen, the scripture, the Bible or the spiritual principle says, the Igbo people have their wealth all over Nigeria. Abuja, Lagos, Kaduna, all over Nigeria, the Igbo people have their wealth. And you have to do this struggle in such a way that you protect their interest. So we don't want them to lose what they have. They have lost so much. After the war, we were made paupers. I passed through the war. I passed through the war as a little boy. I don't know how old you were during the war. I am 60 years old now. I don't know how old you are. So I passed through the war. I'm talking with experience. Our people started from the scratch, and they have built up. It's a miracle how they built up the wealth again. And now you want them to lose their wealth again. Everything has a process. If we have our regional government, over a period of time, they'll get ready. They can start relocating their industries and their investments over time. And then later, our parliament will pass a bill of referendum for independence. And then we will vote, just like Scotland is voting now, whether to pull out from Britain or to remain in Britain. So it is at that stage that our people, the Biafran parliament, will pass the bill and our people will vote whether to pull out entirely or to remain in Nigeria. But to say all their wealth, all their resources, all their investments in Nigeria should be destroyed because you are looking for Biafra, they are going to fight against you. All our people, all the Biafrans, both in Lagos or Abuja or so on, remember, they also are Biafrans, and you are not more Biafran than those people that are in Lagos. You are not more Biafran than those people that are in Abuja. And they have investments all over Nigeria, and they cannot allow their investments to be destroyed. The same way the international community, Britain has investments, France has investments, Canada has investments, all of them have investments in Nigeria. And therefore, they cannot allow you to destroy their investment because of your agitation for Biafra. That is why we are saying it has to go through due process. First of all, restructure. There's something you talk about restructuring, that our own region, that Fulani can still come into our region and possess it, is a lie. That means you don't know what restructuring means. You don't know the component, the contents, the powers vested in the regions. What we're talking about regional government is regional autonomy. Do you know what's autonomy? Autonomy means autonomy. You are on your own, even though answering Nigeria. Autonomy is what we're talking about, not just an association inside one Nigeria. We're talking about autonomy. Go and know the meaning of autonomy. So we're talking about autonomous government. So when we have autonomy, we're able to control our territory. And no Fulani can come in, because we now have power to protect our territory. Right now, even though the governor of the state is the chief security officer of the state, but because he's under Nigerian command, under the command from Abuja, he is not capable. But when we have our regional command, hey, who is Fulani to come into our region without our approval? Who is he? That is when we have our regional army, regional power, regional soldier, regional security. Who? So I don't think you're understanding what regional autonomy means. That is the problem. We are talking about regional autonomy. And rule himself inside one Nigeria. It's just like a loose kind of federation. So that the center is just weak, very loose. But the power now is in the region. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see the passion there. Thank you for the clarification. I need some other people raise their hands. Just give me 1 second to... Okay, let's see. Jeff, I don't know who Jeff is. Jeff, unmute yourself. You raise your hand.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My question, or my comment, first of all, is to you, Barrister Emeka.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought that before you achieve this, your regional autonomy or your regional government, because of course I don't know the timeline which you are putting on your strategy.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought that before this is actualized, the Igbo land would have been overrun and ravaged by what is happening presently? That's number one. The second thing is to both of you. Remember, I am not on anybody's side. I am on the side of the poor masses of Igbo land who are suffering and passing through pain at this moment. Now to the both of you. What is the strategy you are using to woo Britain as it is? Britain owns Nigeria. I don't think you people are thinking in that light. Britain owns Nigeria. We think Nigeria is independent. Yes, we've gotten independent, but are they truly independent as it is? Britain still has a very, very strong hold on Nigeria. So what is your strategy in ensuring that Britain is on the side of this stronghold, or at least understanding that Biafra needs to be on their own? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You want to go first? Go ahead.
Yes. So, Mr. Moderator, thank you very much. I hope you will remember not to tell me 2 minutes. So that
I have to time it, otherwise you guys will talk forever on one topic.
No, because that will become a corruption in Nigeria if you do not allow me to talk the exact way Emekesiri talks.
Okay, go ahead. You're already talking. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So now, my brother talked about Nnamdi Kanu standing trial. Let me put it to him that the first president of Nigeria, the first president of the democratic Nigeria in 1999 came out from prison. Is Olusegun Obasanjo is still alive today. That somebody is starting a trial which international community have not recognized IPOB. IPOB has not done anything to suggest that they are a terrorist group to be recognized by international community. But he is already telling you that for the fact that Nnamdi Kanu is starting trial, it means that IPOB is dead on arrival. But I'm telling him now that in 1999, the president of Nigeria came out from prison to become president, Olusegun Obasanjo. And you said you are a lawyer, chartered whatever, and barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. You were there as all these things you mentioned. Are you going to tell me that the removal of Chief Justice of Nigeria was constitutional? Of course, the answer is no, except if you are being partial. You also, you were there as a Nigeria. You have your chamber in Nigeria. You don't know where I have my chamber. If you want to know where I have my chamber, go and search the internet. You have your chamber in Nigeria. You were there as a lawyer, and somebody in Imo State who won election was removed with impunity. And you are a lawyer. You also claim to be a lawyer in London, and the CGN did not go the due process which you are seeking now to get Biafra. And what are the due process here? The due process is that when you are charged or when you are being investigated by any financial and economic commission or financial crime and economic commission of Nigeria, you need to undergo due process by going through the National Judicial Council of Nigeria. The CGN Onegan did not go through National Judicial Council, and you are a lawyer, you know this. Now, there is somebody called Justice Taiwo. Justice Taiwo, a few weeks ago or a few days ago, EFCC filed petition against Justice Taiwo. The EFCC petition went through the National Judicial Council of Nigeria, which Tanko Mohammed was the head of this Judicial Council. And what did the Judicial Council do? They told EFCC, they dismissed the petition of the EFCC. They said the EFCC petition lacked merit. Is it the responsibility of the National Judicial Council to declare a petition written by the Economic and Financial Commission of Nigeria, Economics and Crime Financial Commission of Nigeria? Is it the responsibility of the National Judicial Council to declare the EFCC petition as lacking merit? The answer is no, and you know all this. And you are sitting here telling me how you are the barrister of and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, where you have in your law school in Nigeria, you have people paying cleaner 32 million naira per annum, and you are probably groomed from that place. Now, you talked about this. My brother talked about the strategy that we are using. You see, what I have to say is this: the issue of the strategy that we are using on Biafra is very, very simple. We are creating awareness, and this debate today that you are watching now is part of the awareness we are creating. The awareness continues. How do we get United Kingdom to buy idea of Biafra or support Biafra exit? First of all, I want to tell you that the United Kingdom was part of the freedom of North and South Sudan. North and South Sudan got their independence.
You shut up.
No matter how they are living today, it's not our business, because we can never live like South and North Sudan. It is uncomparable. So the British government, this is one of the secrets. In fact, this issue you just raised now is one of my strong points for joining Biafra. And there are things I'm not going to make public here. But how to get British is very, very intact, step by step on how to get British, which I am not going to make public here. For what reason? For what reason? The reason being that I don't want the people like Emekesiri to go and block or fight against it. Like you hear him mentioning how the business of people in Nigeria, mentioning the business of Igbos in Nigeria, and he's a lawyer, knowing fully well that when North Sudan and South Sudan divided, British were involved. There were British involvement in the freedom of Southern Sudan. When Soviet Union were dissolved, it was as a matter of a revolution, invoking the constitution, part of the constitution of the Soviet Union. And at the end of the day, each person that were found that were living in Russia and owned property in Russia, all their property were protected. The same thing has happened all over the world. Any place you have an independent or an independent state, the property of those persons are always protected. It happened between Eritrea and Ethiopia. Their properties are protected. It happened in Singapore. Their properties are protected. It is going to happen in Nigeria, and the properties of Igbos in Nigeria will be protected. So, then how do we, I'll have to chip in, how do we get Britain? Because it is not everything I will make public, but there is some things that are already public in public knowledge. How do you get British is that, first of all, we need to understand that the British of today is not, or are not the British of 1967. The way we are now, the new British, the new Biafra, the new generation of Biafra is the same way you have new generation of British. And believe me, we will stop at nothing to see that British is part of disintegration and the freedom of Biafra, disintegration of Nigeria and freedom of Biafra, just the way they participated actively in North Sudan and South Sudan. Also, it is going to be even for the interest of British to see Nigeria disintegrated. Do you know why? The reason is this. Nigeria today, when I say Nigeria is breeding terrorists, you see this man started by tagging, instead of making reference to Fulani herdsmen, he did not make reference to Fulani herdsmen as terrorists in Nigeria. Rather, he started writing on what Ekpa wrote in 2014. The IPOB wrote something in 2014. Now tell me, has there not been involving in the activities of IPOB in 2020? IPOB has called for boycott of election on several occasions and at the same time called off the boycott of the election in Biafra land. The last one was between this during the presidential election. IPOB called for a boycott of election in Biafra land, and at the end of the day, they call off the boycott. It does that now tally with what you read now of 2014. It means that change is constant. So what the IPOB used in 2014, immediately when they were formed, and if I'm not mistaken, IPOB was formed between 2012 or 2013 or so. So if in 2014 they came to make a such statement which is in line with agitators and freedom fighters, that statement is in line. It has not breached any international law. That statement is in line. It happened with the NCNC of the South Africa during the time of an apartheid regime. And what we have in Nigeria now is an apartheid regime, whether you like it or not. When a minority controls the majority with a lot of impunity, terrorist, hostility, intimidation, it becomes appetite. And now, even if IPOB come to use such statements, it can be justifiable because the highest impunity is happening in Nigeria today. So now, why are you now making reference to IPOB and you are not making reference to herdsmen? You are not making reference to Boko Haram. You are not making reference to bandits. You are not making reference to Asal. You are not making reference to all the 5 different terrorist groups that has been ranked by international, the terrorism index international. You are not making reference to them. You say Nigeria is breeding terrorists, and you are making reference to IPOB as if IPOB has been ranked or recognized as a terrorist group globally. It is not. It is only Nigeria. And the only reason Nigeria did that was to continue to suppress the Biafra people and use you, Emekesiri, as a willing tool to continue to bring division. And that is what we are calling that it should end from today. Thank you very much.
Okay, he asked me what have we been doing to get Britain into the equation. That is the question he asked. There's nothing secret. Simon said there are some secrets they have with British government. We don't have that secret. We have meetings with the British government. This is the letter signed by Boris Johnson. Let me read it out here. And this is the document we sent to British government, and that is it. This one, that was when Boris Johnson was the Foreign Secretary of State. This one is dated 13th February 2018. Permanent solution to the Nigeria-Biafra conundrum based on the British government policy of 1969. Memorandum presented to the British Parliament by indigenous people of Biafra who are the claimants in suit number FHC/OW/CS/192/2013 in the Federal High Court of Nigeria, Owerri Judicial Division. Now, this was by the authority of the Supreme Council of Elders of Indigenous People of Biafra, dated 13th February 2018. Now, this was the memorandum. We had meetings with them 3 times. You're asking me what effort have we done? Because Britain owns Nigeria. Yes, I agree with you. Britain owns Nigeria. Britain created Nigeria. If you are talking about, in fact, we can say Britain has patent rights. If you create a product, that product, you have patent right over it. Whether people like it or not, it is true that Britain created Nigeria. Even if you say it's for their purpose, for economic purpose, yes. Even if it's for economic purpose, they own Nigeria. So before you can do anything to Nigeria, you must sit down with them and talk it over, discuss it. With them, sit down with them and talk it over. So we have had meetings with them 3 times. And the 3rd time, they now asked for this memorandum. And this memorandum, before it was sent to them, the elders, the Supreme Council of Elders of Indigenous People of Biafra, sat down and discussed and agreed on what to present. So it was at the end of it that we now send this to them. Of course, they responded. After some months, they responded. And it was Boris Johnson who signed it. And it was on the 4th of May, 2018. The reference number for the letter MIN/118568/2018. It was Boris Johnson who signed it. He said that the UK welcomed the determination expressed in the memorandum from the indigenous people of Biafra to work to resolve any grievances peacefully. We continue to underline the importance of acting in accordance with the rule of law with all parties, including the Nigerian government. Now, the first sentence they said is, the UK fully supports the territorial integrity of Nigeria. So they said the UK supports the territorial integrity of Nigeria. They would not allow Nigeria to break up. Then they now said they accepted the proposal contained in this memorandum. And what was the proposal? Like I said to you, before this proposal was sent to them, the elders of the land, the elders of the land had to sit down to discuss what do the Igbos really want. So it is not one person's opinion. If you go now and make a referendum and make a vote, you will see the majority of Igbos what they want. They now say, okay, Britain, since you say you don't want Nigeria to disintegrate, okay, let us now use the British model of having states within nations. That, like we have Scotland, England, Ireland, not Ireland, and Wales, the 4 countries in one Britain. So we can also have 6 countries in one Nigeria. The Southeast can be a country, Southwest, South-South, North Central, Northeast, Northwest. Each one bear your name. Southeast can answer Biafra. Southwest can answer Oduduwa. The other one can answer Arewa. The other one can answer Delta. Any name they want in one country. If Britain can have 4 nations in one to become Great Britain, Nigeria can as well have 6 nations in one to become Great Nigeria. So if you go now and ask questions, ask Ndi Igbo, ask all the Biafrans, Mandela, Abuja, Mandela, Lagos, everywhere they are, ask them what they want. You will see that they want this kind of model. Yes, we want outright independence. Every person wants outright independence. But there is a process for it. Every person wants outright independence, but there is, and I go 1 before I go 2. There's the first step before second step. So the next step the people want now is to be given autonomous status to govern themselves and control their resources and control their region. And that is what the British government said they have accepted. That is they said they have accepted. Now, there is something Simon said, that there is something that I have not found people to move the motion. Yeah, he mentioned it when we were making before. People to move the motion in the National Assembly because Boris Johnson, then he was Foreign Secretary, now he is the Prime Minister. He now said that the restructuring into regional government should be debated in a democratic way. That is, that it should be debated. And to debate it has to be in the Parliament. Now, that was why I said the 4 regions, we have enough votes to vote and pass this bill. If somebody among the 4 regions, the senators, can present this bill, then the question is, he said, why is it that they are not able to present it? Why are they dragging their feet? Why haven't they? That is what we are doing now. We are moving now, pushing to see how that bill will be presented. So you may say it is not possible to present that bill, but let us watch. But we are pushing to see how that bill will be presented and debated. And once it is done, I am sure that 4 regions against 2, 4 regions against 2, I am sure we shall defeat them. So you may say why we are pushing to get one of the senators to move that bill, move that motion, and let the debate start. And the Britons said, as long as it is done by the rule of law, by the due process, they will recognize the outcome of the debate. So we are adopting the British model of nations in one country. Scotland, Ireland, Wales, England in one country. And as they grow, anyone that wants to pull out can now pass a bill in its own regional parliament to be free. Just like Scotland is doing now, they can now pass the bill to be free. So that is what we have done. So if you say we are going to hide it from, no, we're not hiding it. If you can verify, you can call the British government now, call them on phone and quote this number, this reference number, whether this letter came from them. There's no secret about it. They said they are in support of what we're saying, what we're doing, but it has to be done in a democratic way. It has to be debated in a democratic way. There is no secret about it. If say there's a secret we're having with British government, there's no secret. They have told us what they want. And if you don't want to follow that, you say you want to fight the war, okay, you can start fighting the war and let us see.
Okay,
Adaejiagamba, can I respond or do I wait for question?
We can wait for question because we don't want to turn it into back and forth. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to get all the people that raise their hands. So, Sylvia Kota, lower your hand and ask your question. Unmute yourself rather and ask your question. Okay, Sylvia Kota. Okay, while he's not ready, I'm going to move on to the next person. Professor.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
My name. Hello.
Go ahead.
So my name is Sylvia Kota. My question goes to Simon Ekpa. Simon, you said you are lobbying the United States of America towards giving independence from the diaspora. I don't quite agree with you because everything has to go to the United Nations. And there are 5 world powers at the United Nations. That is China, Britain, France, and Russia. They all have to agree before UN can even intervene in any country. But by the way, I've never seen any country that the United Nations went into to go and divide without any war processes. I give an example. South Sudan fought the war for like 22 years.
Yes. Before
the UN came to South Sudan to divide South Sudan into 2. Kosovo too fought a war. Yugoslavia had a problem before they were divided. So I don't know the process you want to take Biafrans through now. So can you be able to explain what you mean or the route you want to go through, please?
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, you have mentioned the 5 veto power at the UN. And why I made reference to those 5 veto power at the UN is that there is need for us to, have this friendship and relationship with these countries, which I have said the IPOB are doing. And of course, where the IPOB have more ground at the moment, I would say is in the US, in the United States of America. There could be other places like the UK, of course. But the 5 countries you mentioned, Russia, Britain, France, and China, these are the veto power, and we need at least 2 or 3 of this country to see success at the United Nations.
No. Remember the 5 countries. You know the 5 countries.
Sorry?
I said you don't need the 5 countries to agree.
That's
America.
Exactly what we are talking about. We are talking about the road. We are discussing the roadmap, right?
I'm going to mute Akota because you're...
Okay. So, let me address it, please. Let me address it. It's very important. So, you see, what we are discussing here is the roadmap to Biafra. So we need to, we need to work in hand with the parliaments, especially those parliament members of these countries, to lobby. And that is why you have international lobbying firm. Like the presidency in their press release, they claim that IPOB are paying about $80,000 to $100,000 every month to a lobbying firm. This lobbying firm, this kind of press release by the presidency should be taken very seriously by people, everybody that is a Biafra, because it tells a lot about what people don't know. So, what is the work of lobbying firm? It does not necessarily have to be Nnamdi Kanu going to Congress. It does not necessarily have to be Nnamdi Kanu going to the UK Parliament. But it is the work of lobbyists. Now, it is no longer secret. This particular one is already in public domain, according to the press released by the presidency of Nigeria. That is one. So to tell you there are international lobbying firms involved in this, which probably will be establishing contact with the stakeholders or these veto powers and what have you. Now, another thing is that my brother talked about there is nothing secret. Yes, there is something should be secret, especially when we are discussing with people like you that die hard one Nigeria. We need to put a lot of some of the most important things secret. Do you know why we are going to put it secret? Because, for example, you said that you have filed a lawsuit to the Federal High Court, Owerri. Do you know, as a lawyer, a well-experienced lawyer, do this court have jurisdiction to try such case? And what is the outcome? Because I was waiting for you to tell us the outcome of the case you filed in 2013. That was what I was waiting to hear. The outcome of that case you filed in 2013. You are reading the case number here. But okay. This is 2020. I didn't hear the outcome of that case. Does that court have the jurisdiction to try such case? And I am telling you today that of course, let me just, okay, now, the court, I don't think that court have the jurisdiction to try that case. And if they have the jurisdiction, what is the outcome, or what was the outcome of the case? You said also that you don't want to join. You don't want to join IPOB because IPOB is a terrorist, that IPOB don't have the same mindset with you, because I said it is impossible to have Biafrans to go into politics in Nigeria and put them into political position. You talked about having political party of Biafra activists and make sure we come and make them to have position in Biafra land. And I told you it is not possible. And for this reason, you say you cannot work with IPOB because of this. Because I said it is not possible. So we have different mental reasoning and the way we think. Now I'm telling you, the case of Imo State is a very good example of why it cannot work. I have also told you that the judiciary has been hijacked. I have also told you that election is no longer taking place in Nigeria as far as this government is concerned. And I have told you that this government have come to stay. If they are not going in 2023, if Nigeria continues to be a country. I have said I am not advocating for war. But if we bring war, we are going to be ready to fight the war with them. And by then, we probably must have done our contact with these world powers that can also help us, because they must come if the need arises. This is not 1967.
Thank you, Simon, please. Okay, we're going to go back. At least I've given you all equal time to talk. So we're going to go back to 10 minutes, because if I allow you guys, one topic, we'll spend the whole day here. And please, I'll appreciate if people don't call me to badger me that I've not called them to ask questions. Because the way this thing is in my screen, that's where I'm going. The way I'm seeing it on my screen, I don't know how it's appearing on your own screen. So, having said that, I have a Victory Kid here. Unmute yourself. Yeah, I've seen you. Unmute yourself and ask your question. If Victor is not ready, I'm going to move on to the next person. Victor Ikedi, unmute yourself. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening to you all. My question goes to Lawrence. The question is this. Since we are talking about restructuring, I want to know what Ojukwu and Gowon agreed at Aburi and why it was not implemented when they came back from Aburi.
Okay.
Second, since a barrister and he knows
your connection is very poor. We're gonna go to the next. I think he's talking about Aburi declaration that was
why did not work?
Why did not work?
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead and restate your question.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, my first question is this. Since Emeka has been talking about restructuring, I want to know what Gowon and Ojukwu, what did they agree at Aburi and why it was not implemented by Gowon as agreed. And secondly, since I have two questions to ask, please. Second question is this. Since you're a lawyer and you're a barrister, also you're a barrister, and you're from Biafra, you're a Biafra. If you don't like that, you're an Igbo man. And the henchman has been terrorizing people, killing people, and even they have been declared terrorist organization, international community. And in Nigeria, the Nigerian government has refused to recognize that. And you have not taken the Nigerian government to court to compel them to recognize that. One, why haven't you done that? One. Then
okay, you've used your time. You can't be. You've asked two questions. So, any of these two gentlemen who want to go first, Emeka or Simon, who want to go first?
I think that question was directed to Emeka, but let me respond.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's true.
Let me respond to that.
Wait. I know you like to talk. Wait. Go ahead, Barrister Emeka. I'm sorry. I was multitasking. Go ahead and answer the question.
So he asked about why the Aburi Accord was not implemented.
Yes.
Good. So, before, in fact, we are thinking that it was Gowon who violated that agreement. That was what I thought. That was just Gowon who violated that agreement. I was thinking of this until when I was writing this book. When I was writing this book, somebody said I should go to Ken Saro-Wiwa's house. Then my office was at Port Harcourt. I went there and got a book called On the Darkling Plain. Somebody said I should go and get that book and read it. I will know much about the Aburi Accord. So when I went to his house, you know, he was killed in 1993 or something, but he still runs, that is office, Saros International, Saros company. So I was able to get a copy of that book. Then I read it. Inside that book, that's where Ken Saro-Wiwa now confessed what happened. He said that when the Aburi Accord was reached, there was jubilation everywhere, and that every person knew that that was the answer to the problem. For every region to go and govern itself, that was the answer. So every person was rejoicing, there will be no more war. I remember that day, how we danced that day, there will be no more war. Now, but Ken Saro-Wiwa said in that book, if you can get it, On a Darkling Plain, he said that they in the riverine area said no, they would not like to be in one region with the Igbos, because then there were 4 regions that time. The eastern region, the midwestern region, the western region, and the northern region. 4 regions at that time, as at the time of this Aburi Accord. Then Ken Saro-Wiwa wrote in that his book that they in the riverine said they would not want to be in the same region with the Igbos because the Igbos would dominate them. He mentioned the chiefs, he himself, and the chief Dapabiriye, and he mentioned other chiefs, about 5 of them, that they now send delegation to Lagos to ask Gowon not to implement that Aburi Accord.
Your time is up, sir.
No, I was...
Okay, go ahead and round up, because this is very interesting to me, too. Go ahead.
Yeah, because he asked why it was not implemented.
Yeah.
So, Gowon now, they now told Gowon not to implement it, that they don't want to be in the same region with Igbos, and that they could now be separated from the Igbos. So, it was then, remember that accord was 1967, then Gowon promised to give them their own state and separate them from the Igbos. It was then 1968, in the middle of the war, that Gowon now created River State away from the eastern region and created that one is called Southeastern State. That is now Calabar. River State, Southeastern State, and then made us East Central State. Then divided the region into three: River State, Southeastern State, and the East Central State. Then that was the end of that stroke. That was the final stroke he played that destabilized Biafra. So when I read that book, I said, oh, so that was what Ken Saro-Wiwa did. Later now, I now heard that Philip Asiodu of the Delta State, Philip Asiodu, was also part of the instruments used to destroy that Aburi Accord, not to allow Gowon to implement it. So all along, we were thinking it was Gowon, until I read these books and I found out that some people made Gowon to violate that agreement. That agreement is what would have saved Nigeria. Now, you are talking about restructuring. It's like going back to that agreement. But this time around, it's no longer to be 4 regions. Why? In 1994, you better listen now because it's necessary. In 1994, during the Mpoko Igbo conference at Enugu, Ojukwu and the other Igbo intelligentsia, they say, okay, let us analyze the Aburi Accord. Why did it fail? They brought the Aburi Accord and analyzed it and found out why it failed. They said, okay, since the problem is fear of domination in the riverine, and then the middle belt being used by Northerners against us, then they now created a 6 regional structure. This thing you call 6 zonal structure was created by the Igbo intelligentsia. It is the Igbo that created South-South. It is the Igbo that created the 6 regions. They created it, separated the North Central, Middle Belt, separated them from the North, and then separated the riverine people from the Igbo people, so that they will no longer fear domination. Then this thing was presented to 1995 to the Abacha as a constitutional conference of 1995. Dr. Alex Ekpa did the presentation, and it was perfectly done, and every person accepted it. And today, Nigeria adopted the 6 regional structure. It is the plan of the Igbo intelligentsia. It is the Igbo that created the master plan. If they actually, the end game is that each of the region in the end will be free. Each of the region in the end will be free. And there could be merger in future, of course, there could be merger. But it's better that every region sees itself as free. So if the South-South being free, South-East being free, if they decide to merge, then they can pass the bill of political merger in their respective parliaments, and they can merge. But right now, let every person have his freedom. Every person have his freedom. Every region have your freedom. Right now, the South-South is no longer being dominated by the Igbo. They are no longer fearing domination because they are on their own. The middle belts now are now free. They are no longer being used by the North against us. So every person now has his own sphere, his own political sphere, his own political identity. And that, I think it is the best for every Nigerian. Every region govern yourself.
You've exhausted it more than enough time. I'm going to give you more time to Simon. Yeah. Simon, do you have to comment on this or no?
Yes, I will comment. Thank you very much. First of all, he did not address the issue of why he did not file a lawsuit against the Fulanis for killing
because I cut him off. He want me to give him that opportunity.
Okay. Yes, let him talk.
Okay, go ahead, Emekesiri. Go ahead.
Why did not file suit against
the Fulani herdsmen?
Me filing suit. Do you understand what it means? I am a lawyer. When I stand, I will say I'm representing who? A lawyer stands to talk on behalf of his client. Don't you understand?
You represent people. When you go to court, you represent people, indigenous people of Biafra, of which you have registered and now piloting the affair of the freedom of Biafra. So you should be able to take the Fulani herdsmen or federal government to court for killing people in Biafra land. Why didn't you do that?
Fine. That is part of the prayer in the suit. The suit number FHC ENCS 103 2019, that is a Federal High Court Enugu, which is now in the Court of Appeal. That is part of it, including the Fulani that they gave 100 billion. The Fulani, it's also in that suit. It's one of the prayers The case is now in the Court of Appeal. But one thing I want to let you understand now is this. You may say, why are we filing case in Nigeria since there is no justice in Nigeria? Because people say, why are you filing the case in Nigeria? Why don't you file outside Nigeria? The case we filed is case on self-determination. It's a human rights case. And inside one case, this is you're a lawyer too. Inside one case, you make your prayers. You make all the prayers you want. You don't sue differently. Only one case, you put all the prayers together, including prayer against Fulani investment, including everything you want, you put it in that human rights case.
Barrister Emekesiri, you are speaking, excuse me, hold on. You're speaking legal jargon. That's why when you say prayer, you need to explain it in layman's time because they don't understand what you mean.
I'm sorry for saying that. What I mean is this. When you file a suit, what I mean by prayer, you request what you want the court to do. The request say, I want the court to make an order. Order.
Adaejiagamba, I think it is enough that he just answered and he filed a suit against the federal government for killing of people in Biafra land. I think that's enough. If he say he has filed a suit, that's enough because that was the question. That was the question of the person.
That's okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Simon, again, we are good. Let's pick another question, or you want to?
No. Let me
I was trying to say why we filed a suit in Nigeria because people say Nigeria does not have justice. That we cannot get justice in Nigeria. Yes, that is the people say you can't get justice in Nigeria. Why filing the suit in Nigeria? You need to understand that.
Adaejiagamba, can I
go ahead, Simon? It's Simon's son, Emekesiri. Allow Simon to go ahead.
Please, my sister, moderator, thank you very much. First of all, I disagree with Emekesiri on Abori Accord. Abori Accord was single-handedly truncated by the help of the former Oba of Benin. Because the former Oba of Benin was with Gowon in Ghana during the Abori Accord. When they came back to Nigeria, Gowon, the Oba of Benin, met other military governments of Nigeria then and briefed them. The content of that Abori Accord cannot be accepted because Gowon went too far to give Biafra a lot of freedom. On this ground, the federal military government of Nigeria then summoned an emergency meeting and decided not to implement Abori Accord on this single act of the former Oba of Benin, the late Oba of Benin. Now, after that, Gowon said this. When the issue heated up, look at the screen now, you will see this is a newspaper of April 25th, 1967. When Gowon threatened that if the East tries to go, we'll create a core state. That core state he's talking about now is Cross River, Ogoja, and Rivers. Now this is evidence number one. Evidence number two is that he always claimed that he don't know why, or he claimed that we can come together with the four regions to have referendum. And I have reminded him, during Jonathan, we had national conference. The Northeast and Northwest rejected it. Upon coming together of this four regions, it did not work out, which is to tell you it can never work again. I am now telling him that no matter what you are going to do in Nigeria, if you want to, let us even say we are having autonomy, so long as it goes against the agenda of colonization of Nigeria, it cannot work under this Northwest and Northeast. Now, he said, why wouldn't the National Assembly, our senators, debate the issue of Biafra on the floor of National Assembly? I want you to give me just 1 minute to play this video. Very important. A lot of people ask me not to play the video, but I want to play this video. Now, he also knows that he has been speaking with leaders in Nigeria. I want him to listen to Abaribe. The voice he is about to listen now is a voice of Abaribe answering that question that has been bothering him for many years. Now listen.
Okay, let me talk about that because people will want to know why don't we talk about Biafra in the house? For a very simple reason. I'm a rules. And the rules are very clear. You want to discuss something,
you will submit it. You will discuss it with the Senate President, or you will send it by way of this, a motion that is written. And anything that is against the Constitution of Nigeria will not be taken. Because Nigeria says one indivisible country. So once you bring it that matter, second bow, this one is against the Constitution, so we can't take it. That's why we can't discuss it. We can't.
Now, did you hear that?
Yes,
that was the voice of Abaribe explaining to you why they cannot bring any issue of Biafra in the floor of National Assembly. Because you have been wondering on how to get answer to this question. Okay. So now, because of the Constitution of the Nigeria, even as that, the Senate President cannot even allow them to bring such discussion in the floor of National Assembly.
We're talking about restructuring. We're not talking about Biafra.
It is the same thing now.
No. See Section 4 of the Constitution. I discussed this thing. Ibaribe discussed with you. He discussed it with me, and I quoted Section 4 of the Constitution for him, which is in fact in the court right now, because Section 4 said that the National Assembly has the power to make law that will bring peace in Nigeria, peace and good governance. That any law that will create peace and good governance in Nigeria. Then I told Abaribe that this is the Nigerian Constitution, and the Constitution overrules their standing rules. That they say they have a standing rule. That the Constitution overrides the standing rule, and that Section 4 says that they have the power to make any law that will bring peace to Nigeria. And the law that they will make now to bring peace is the law that will restructure and devolve power to the regions within Nigeria. And if they devolve power to the regions within Nigeria, Nigeria is still indivisible. It has not violated the law. The law says Nigeria should be indivisible. Yes. So if they now devolve power to the regions, it is still one Nigeria. It does not violate the Nigerian Constitution. That's what we're talking about. I'm not saying go and move the motion for Biafra. That's not what I'm talking about. We're saying move the motion to devolve power to the regions, regional autonomy inside one Nigeria. He's saying a different thing. Maybe somebody asked him a different question. I'm not asking him to go and move motion for Biafra. No. Move the motion devolving power to the region. In fact, because of their reluctance, in the present case that is in the Court of Appeal, we have put a prayer there now, a prayer joining the National Assembly as a party to that case, so that they will now be compelled, in fact, both the presidency as an executive and the legislature to be now compelled to act according to the Constitution and make a law that will bring peace to Nigeria. And I tell you, if they make that law now, devolving power to the regions, every person go to your region, govern yourself, develop at your own pace, and then we now agree to pay an agreed percentage tax to the center to maintain federal institutions like that. Every person will be happy. There will be peace in Nigeria. That's what I'm telling you. The Section 4 of the Constitution says the National Assembly has the power to make law that will bring peace and good governance in Nigeria. I'm not talking about